Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about three ratios that are commonly used in trigonometry. Okay, let's take a look at this triangle here. Now, we use special words to describe each side of a triangle. Okay, in our triangle, we have an angle here. And this angle could be any angle, right? It could be 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 50 degrees, right? But we have an angle here. We say the side across from the angle is the side opposite to our angle. The longest side in the triangle, that's the hypotenuse. And the longest side is always across from the right angle. And the adjacent side, that's the side left over. And the reason we call it the adjacent side is because this side is right beside our angle. Now, something I'd like to note. The opposite and adjacent side depend on where your angle is. So if we put the angle in a different place on the triangle, then the opposite and adjacent side will change. But the hypotenuse doesn't ever change. It's always going to be the longest side in the triangle. Okay, let's practice here. So we have a triangle here, and this is our angle. Right? Here's our angle right here. And what we want to do is we want to identify what's the opposite side, what's the adjacent, and what's the hypotenuse. Well, we saw the opposite side is going to be the side right across from the angle. Right? Since this side here is right across from the angle, we say it's the opposite side. Okay, the hypotenuse will be the longest side in the triangle. So this side right here. And the reason we know it's the longest side, well, first we can look at the numbers here, right? We can see that's the longest side. Or another way we can tell is it's across from the right angle. Okay, so this side is going to be the hypotenuse. And the adjacent side is just the side that's left over. Right, so since 12 meters, that's the side that's left over, that's going to be the adjacent. Okay, next example right here. Now our angle is up here. Okay, the side opposite, well, that's just going to be whatever side's across from the angle. Right, and we can see the side that's across from the angle is going to be 21 centimeters. It's going to be this side right here. The hypotenuse, the longest side, is going to be this one. And again, you can tell this is the longest side just looking at the numbers. Or another way to tell is, again, it's across from the right angle. So 29 centimeters, that's going to be the hypotenuse. And the adjacent side here is just the side that's left over. So you'll notice, looking at these two triangles, the opposite and adjacent sides aren't in the same place. So like I said before, the opposite and adjacent side depends on where your angle is. Right? The hypotenuse will always stay the same. But the opposite and adjacent sides depend on where your angle is in the triangle. What angle you are considering. So there's three ratios that are commonly used in trigonometry. We have sine, cosine, and tangent. Now sine, that's equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite divided by adjacent. And there's an abbreviation we can use to help us remember this. So an abbreviation that we commonly use is Sohcahtoa, just to help us remember this. Right, that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so let's see that in action here. So here, they want us to calculate these ratios, sine, cos, and tan, using a calculator and using the ratios, the three trig ratios that we just learned. So let's try doing that. Right, so again, just to start off, it will be helpful just to label the sides of this triangle. Let's label the opposite, let's label the adjacent, let's label the hypotenuse. So again, this is the angle here that we're considering, the 53 degrees. So just to start off with, we're just going to label all the sides. So the side across from this angle, that's the opposite side, and it's going to be 4. The hypotenuse, that's going to be the longest side here. Right, or another way to figure it out is the side across from the right angle. And the adjacent side is just the side that's left over here. Okay, now that we've labeled all the sides, now we're ready to find the three trig ratios here, sine, cos, and tan of this angle. So let's start. So sine of 53 degrees. So if you remember from Sohcahtoa, sine is opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Well, we know the opposite side is 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. And 4 divided by 5, that's just 0.8. Okay, next one, let's find cosine of this angle. So remember, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side here, we know is 3. The hypotenuse we know is 5. And 3 divided by 5, that's just 0.6. And tan of 53 degrees, well, tan is just opposite over adjacent. The opposite side we know is going to be 4. The adjacent side we know is going to be 3. And 4 divided by 3, that's 1.33. Okay, so we figured out the three trig ratios here using our triangle. And one way we can check this as well is using a calculator. Right, we could plug these into our calculator to check the answers we got here. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. So the first one asks us to find sine of 53 degrees. We already saw how to find that using the triangle. Now we're going to try to find that using our calculator. Okay, if you search Google, if you search calculator on Google, you will be able to find the calculator you can use here. So let's start. So sine of 53 degrees. When we're doing this, we want to make sure we're in degree mode. So I'm just going to click on this here to make sure that we're in degree mode. And then we're just going to put in sine 53 equals, and that's equal to about 0.8. Right, so using our calculator, we can see sine of 53 degrees is equal to 0.8. Now, I want you to try these other two on your own, Try finding cosine 53 and tan 53 degrees on your own using the calculator. And you should check to make sure cosine 53 is equal to 0.6 and tan of 53 degrees is equal to 1.33. So in this video, I talked about the trig ratios that are commonly used, right? Sine, cosine, and tan.